given your background, I am curious, from your former experience, where do you think some of the confusion and whiplash is stemming from and not getting the clarity, perhaps, that the New York Stock Exchange needs?
Oh, well, I don't speak from the on behalf of the New York Stock Exchange, of course, but I do know that there was seemed to be some confusion about some of the terms in that executive order, and so with that, with all of the geopolitical things that are going on, looking at the terms of this this new executive order, I think that could have led to some confusion.
Yeah, well, there's confusion out there, Mark. I am curious here. I mean, some of the argument here, or at least the speculation as to why maybe there was a reversal, was this idea here that a lot of the trading had already moved away from the NYSE, that a lot of the volume we see is actually over in Hong Kong anyway, and that because of the thresholds of trading, that maybe the NYSE didn't necessarily need to make that delisting move at the time that it did.
Well, you are correct that a lot of the companies are dual listed. They have a listing in Hong Kong and they have a listing at the New York Stock Exchange, and some of them or all of them might have also a triple listing in Shanghai. Over time, the companies have been listed in the New York Stock Exchange for about around 20 years, and over time the trading has gradually shifted over back to Hong Kong. However, there is a ample amount of a pretty good amount of liquidity in the form of ADRs at the New York Stock Exchange, particularly for China Mobile. So a company that is, if it is delisted, I think that for a company, for these particular three companies, there would not be that much practical implication, but there would be a lot of symbolism here, and it would be, some people would say pretty unfortunate if it were to happen.
Mark, when you get a call from the Treasury Secretary, if you'd been in your previous role over at leading the APAC business for the New York Stock Exchange and global listings, how would you react? What do you think is going through the leadership's mind right now as to how they can steer this ship going forward?
Well, I would think that they would want to see whether it is at all possible to abide by the executive order's phrasing, and to still have these companies listed, or at a minimum, not to delist them in such a short period of time. There was hardly any notice. So I think that there would be an effort, if I were the one receiving the call, to see if there could be some transition, and to actually see if the wording of the executive order applies to these three companies. I note that these three companies were not the ones that were named in the list of banned companies. My understanding is that the actual companies that were named on the list were the parent companies of these companies. So these are subsidiaries, and the subsidiaries are not yet on the list. I think that maybe there was some indication that down the line, they would be named on the list. However, at this point, they're not on the list. I'm not going to speculate whether they will be on the list. I also note that the timing of this is the original executive order was the ban would be effective. I think it was January 9th or January 11th. Very, very close to the changeover in the administration, and now we're going into the new administration. It's be interesting to see, or maybe there are some signals that the new administration would take a different view, or maybe take a slightly a different angle on this this matter.
Mark, we only have a minute left. What do you see as reputational risks involved?
I think that the U.S. market, as you know, there are companies from all over the world that are seeking, they're growing, including in China, all around the world, in the U.S. They're looking to raise capital. They're looking what is the best market. The U.S. market has a global reputation for being an open market, the deepest market, a lot of liquidity, the most capital. And this is the market that companies want to go to. with this, these geopolitical considerations, that adds another layer of risk that companies will be looking at and their boards will be looking at. There continues to be a very strong push by companies from around the world to go to the U.S., but this makes it a little bit more difficult. Another consideration.